While most games have unique gameplay, narratives, and mechanics, quite a few tend to follow traditions established over the years. But some games, well, they don't go down the same path, opting instead to explore experimental mechanics you've never seen before or maybe haven't experienced since. I'm Ewan, this is WhatCulture Gaming, and here are 10 one-of-a-kind video game mechanics. Number 10. Time Play. Superhot. You've probably heard of Superhot by now, and if you haven't, then you clearly have been standing still for quite some time. This badass and inventive FPS is an action movie fan's dream, allowing you to dispatch enemies in glorious John Woo-esque slow motion, but with the caveat of still being destructible. Your typical FPS forces you into quick thinking as you seek cover and keep moving to avoid getting sprayed with bullets, or if you're playing Call of Duty World at War on Veteran, being spammed by a bajillion grenades. Superhot, however, messes with that concept, as time only progresses when you move, with time frozen in place when you don't. This unique approach to time flow forces you to deconstruct how you would usually play an FPS. You'll need to think laterally instead of vertically if you want to get anywhere with this game. Will I get hit if I move this way? Does shooting this guy put me at risk? Will Julian Gill pay me back for all those irresponsible crypto investments he made in 2021? These are all questions this unique mechanic makes you consider, and it makes for an FPS that feels more like a high-octane game of chess than a standard run-and-gun. Number 9. Biometric feedback. Nevermind. Imagining a video game that can sense your feelings still sounds like science fiction. Like, you'd probably expect the developer of that game to feature in an 80s sci-fi movie and be a villain played by Michael Ironside, coming up against a JCVD protagonist. But still, you might be surprised to learn that there are games taking baby steps in that direction. And Nevermind? Oh, it does it with terrifying skill. This title is a biofeedback game that pits your emotions against you. It's an anxiety-ridden horror experience that increases the difficulty whenever you get too scared. Yeah, that's right, the only way through this nightmare is to quite literally Batman it and conquer your fear. The game measures your stress levels and alters accordingly, triggering creepy events whenever you display negative emotions. How does it work exactly? Well, let's talk tech. Nevermind is powered by Affectiva's Afdex technology, which analyzes your facial expressions via webcam, identifies your emotions, and translates them into the game. It also has a non-essential physiological feedback option that measures your pulse. You can use devices like Intel RealSense or Wild Divine to support this. And I mean, yeah, we've come a long way from the days of using the Xbox's webcam to put your face in Rainbow Six Vegas 2. Tech is our friend? But as you can see, it can be used against us. Let's just hope the AI overlords of the future don't catch wind and trap us in our own Scarecrow-esque game nightmares. Number 8. The Nemesis system. Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, and Shadow of War. Well, I guess this is technically a two-of-a-kind video game mechanic. When it comes to generating unique player experiences, it's hard to think of anything better than the Nemesis system used in Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor and its sequel, Shadow of War. The way you treat an enemy can have unforeseen implications you'd never see coming, leading to a variety of experiences only you will have. This tool for individual story generation resulted in resounding critical acclaim, but it's also poisoned the metaphorical gaming grog, as Warner Bros. Introduced a patent that means no other game can try and implement similar technology. Said patent doesn't expire until 2035 either, so any devs who used it would be infringing on copyright laws. Look, it's fair to want exclusivity over a system you build, but it just stinks of wasted potential, especially given that it's been like 6 years since we got Shadow of War. Number 7. Photo-based perspective puzzles. Viewfinder. Have you ever fantasized about being able to step into a photograph like in that Nickelback video? Well, while it's not possible in the conventional sense, you can do it if you grab yourself a copy of Viewfinder. Go forth and live the dream! Viewfinder is a beautiful little puzzle game that approaches its gameplay with one unique idea. What if you could map a photograph to the environment? This amazing concept comes to life in this gorgeous title with fantastic art, physics, and puzzle solving. Each level in Viewfinder challenges you to think outside the box as you use photos to reshape and redefine reality. You take 2D images and work them into the 3D world, editing the environment's geometry and building new ways to explore the levels. This generates plenty of eureka moments as you find new ways to manipulate the game and solve problems while looking at all sorts of lovely imagery. Number 6. Only playable in one sitting. Paratopic. One of the biggest selling points of a single-player game is that you can take it at your own pace. Too much work to do? Maybe Scott Tailford is calling you to lord dump on Sonic? Well, no problemo, friend. Just hit the save button and come back later. Those villagers you're saving, they won't even notice, even if they're a bit on fire right now. However, such luxury is not available in Paratopic, as you've only got one shot at it each time you play. This PS1-style horror title is a barrage of surrealism, nonsensical dialogue, and deliberately ugly visuals. It'll make you feel like you're stuck inside a sort of low-poly fever dream, and adding to that sense of entrapment is the fact that there is no option to save your progress. Yep, like a cinema screening or a live performance, you must sit through the whole thing in one go, or you'll get nothing. The game's runtime is roughly 40 minutes to an hour long, so it's not an especially grueling commitment. However, if you decide to quit before hitting the end credits, you'll need to start from the beginning the next time you play. Being forced to take this whole game on in a single sitting adds to its sense of surrealism and isolation, so be sure to set enough time aside if you do decide to give it a go. Number 5. Dual characters on the same controller. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons tasks the player with taking charge of both protagonists through one controller. You explore the world and solve puzzles with two thumbsticks controlling one brother each. This naturally requires patience as it goes against the typical mechanics of a controller, but it's easy to see the artistic benefits once you've gotten used to it. Gamers are used to switching between multiple characters all the time, but managing both brothers through a single device changes your perception entirely. It quickly signifies their powerful connection and forces you to adjust to them as a pair, subverting the solo duties that single-player games often push you toward. Number 4. Roguelike Rhythm: Crypt of the Necrodancer. This entry is pretty unique, as rather than doing something completely original, it instead takes two existing genres and jams them together like Frankenstein's monster. Only, like, a fun one. Like Peter Boyle and Young Frankenstein. Crypt of the Necrodancer is a roguelike dungeon crawler combined with a rhythm game. How does that work? Well, you explore dungeons and battle monsters, but you can only move or attack if you match up with the beat. As such, you gotta pay close attention to the absolutely banging soundtrack from Danny Baranowski and perform your moves accordingly. Judging the responsibilities of navigating the dungeon and sticking to that sick beat is naturally one hell of a challenge. However, it feels entirely worth it in those exhilarating moments when you hit a groove, matching the rhythm and kicking the crap out of enemies in perfect harmony. Number 3. Interactive film footage: Immortality. Immortality is a title that pushes the boundaries of gaming so intensely that some might argue it shouldn't even be called a game. Still, no matter how you feel, there's no denying it's a horror experience unlike any other. This video game tasks you with solving the mystery of the disappearance of a fictional actress. To do so, you search through film reels from 3 of her movies, starting with one clip and finding more by pausing and clicking on items or people of interest. This leads to a simple but nuanced loop. Review the footage, find areas of interest, discover more footage, and so on and so forth. Of course, you will encounter sinister things the deeper you look. Number 2. Monster-based proximity chat: In Silence. Survival horror is a notoriously nasty genre that really pushes players to their limits. However, when playing a spooky title, you at least have the luxury of a fourth wall to hide behind. That's what makes this game so terrifying, as this monster can hear through that invisible wall. In Silence is a multiplayer game that pits a group of squishy humans against a terrifying beastie inspired by the Rake creepypasta. The game lives up to its namesake by allowing sound to influence its gameplay via microphone-based proximity chat. Do you want to crack a joke to your friend? Well, the rake heard everything, and it's coming for you. Good job. This use of proximity chat mechanics allows the survivors to communicate when they're close to each other, adding to the game's immersion. But it also provides the monster, which is almost entirely blind, with the means to hunt each of you down, which, if you have a particularly good microphone, is going to make the choice over whether or not to unleash that fart that's been building up while you've been hiding even more consequential. One lucky player can take on the role of the rake, using headphones to track down their prey, but the unlucky humans can also use this against the villainous player, setting off sounds like TVs or radios to distract them. And number 1, your eyes are the controller. Before your eyes. The gaming industry has tried many times to use the human body as a controller in some sort of non-fun Cronenbergian way, but it has not always been a flying success. The Nintendo Wii? That's good. The Nintendo Power Glove? Bad, even if it has a really cool name. But thankfully, this one-of-a-kind video game falls on the former, using your eyes to tell a story that will stick with you for a long time. Before Your Eyes is a narrative-based adventure game that forces you to reflect on the memories of a man on their way to the afterlife. The narrative is very important, but the game goes one step further by using eye tracking to dictate your actions. You control the game by looking at prompts and blinking to select them, with your movements and blinks tracked via webcam. While there can be some configuration issues, this mechanic lends itself well to the powerful story, generating a deeply personal and intimate tale. And those were 10 one-of-a-kind video game mechanics. Have any games in mind that similarly pioneered their own inimitable features? Shout them out down in the comments below. If you could drop the video a like, that'd be sound, but no worries if not. Subscribe to WhatCulture Gaming if you fancy more lists like this delivered fresh to your sub box every day too. Either way, thanks for watching, I've been Ewan, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye!